The shield and spear are absolutely broken in Soul Mask, and today we're going to talk about it. Let's get to it. I want to start off by stating that all weapons are viable in this game, and in some situations you have to use a hammer, for example doing the dungeons. However, in general combat scenarios, the spear and shield are absolutely ridiculously overpowered compared to all other weapons. There's two main reasons for this. First off, the shield reduces damage by a lot while you are blocking with it. Let's take a look and see how much damage gets blocked per whatever shield you're using. So starting off with the wooden shield, you get a 75% reduction in incoming damage. The bone shield gives you an 80% reduction in damage. Bronze shield gives you 85% reduction. Iron gives you a 90% reduction. Steel gives you a 95% reduction. The ancient bone shield drops back down to 90, which is interesting, and I'm not quite sure why. The steel enhanced shield gives you a 95% damage reduction and gives you a crit resistance of 10%. The ancient shield gives you a 95% damage reduction. The mysterious shield gives you a 100% damage reduction. However, do note that in my testing, I did notice that you cannot get 0 damage. You'll take 1 damage, but no matter how much incoming damage you take, it's always just going to be 1 damage. This shield also gives you a crit resistance of 15%. And last but not least, we have the mechanical steel shield, which reduces incoming damage by 95%. Now note that these are the base value, so this is the lowest version that you can possibly craft. When you are crafting between the different types of versions, so for example, the wooden shield gives you 75% reduction in damage. However, the legendary version of the same shield still gives you only 75% damage reduction. What changes here is the stamina down reduction, and to be honest, I'm having trouble narrowing down exactly what this does. I'm pretty sure that stat is how much of a reduction in stamina loss you take per hit, because when you are getting hit, it does reduce your stamina, and your stamina does not regen while you are blocking. So obviously, the less stamina you use to block an attack, the better, because that means you're going to be able to block more attacks before you have to drop your guard. So the issue here, and the reason I'm having trouble nailing down exactly what this does, is the math almost lines up, but not quite. So there is definitely a stamina lost when taking a hit difference between shields. I used the wood shield, let a cat jump at me, and when it did so, I lost 134 stamina, as you can see on the screen. I did the same thing. It hit me with the exact same attack, and I was blocking with a legendary version of the mysterious shield, which has an STA down reduction of 40%. That hit only burned 84 stamina. Now, I could be doing the wrong math here. That is very possible, but when I run the percentages, we lose 77.91% from shield 1, the wood shield. We lose 48.84% from the legendary shield. When you subtract those together, we get 29.07%, and we should get 35%, unless I'm doing everything wrong here. But the key takeaway here from these tests is that a higher rarity is going to be better because you're going to use less stamina to block hits. Do note that you also lose more stamina depending on the type of hit or how hard the hit is. So some of the cat's hits in my testing only took away tiny bits of stamina. Same for when you're fighting things. You take a spear hit, it's only a tiny bit of stamina, sword hit, so on. The jump attack, though, took a massive amount of stamina from us. So this is something to keep in mind. Now you're wondering, well, I can block with anything, so why is the shield so much better to block with? Well, it gives you way more damage reduction than anything else. All other weapons are a flat 50% damage reduction. This is unless you perfect parry. If you perfect parry a block, you don't take any damage. And you can indeed perfect parry with a shield the same way you can perfect parry with a weapon. What makes this broken is that you can block, and if you use a spear as your weapon, you never drop your guard as long as you hold the block button. The spear and the single-handed sword are the only two weapons that can be used with a shield. The spear is the only weapon that allows you to continue to block and attack at the same time. If you use the single-handed sword and you go to swing it, you drop your guard. The other interesting thing about this mechanic is that it won't let you attack while you are blocking and taking damage actively. So if, for example, someone is using the multi-jab spear attack against you, you can't drop your guard in the middle of that and attack as long as you are holding the block button. But if you spam the attack button while they are doing that, as soon as they stop attacking, you will poke them. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, that's pretty cool. That's a lot of really good bonuses and some really good reasons reasons to use a shield. I'm not done. The shields also have their own set of special abilities, so the abilities that you activate with F. So for example, the spear, in most cases, it's going to be the old scorpion get over here where you throw the spear and yank them to you. This alone is insanely handy for multiple reasons, which I'll get into in a second, but while you are blocking, it automatically switches your F ability to whatever ability you have for the shield. And there are a bunch of different types of shield bashes and shield charges that you can get a hold of, and some other crazy special abilities, like one of the legendary abilities I got on one of my tribesmen, which when I take a hit while blocking, it charges up my weapon, and then my next attack does absolutely astronomical amounts of damage to the point that it had me one-shotting bosses. You can also use the spear's pull them to you ability to yank people out of guard towers, which is amazing. And as soon as you yank somebody to you, you can immediately go into block and then shield bash them if you have the shield bash ability active. There's also a shield charge ability that works really good for this too, because most of the time when you yank somebody to you, they will attempt to take a bunch of steps backwards to put some distance between you and them, and then the AI decides on what it's going to do from there. Having a shield bash or shield charge allows you to quickly close the gap on them, get in a hit, go into block, and then play pokey pokey. Now, the downside to all of this is stamina and resilience. Resilience is the yellow bar underneath your stamina. Once that yellow bar is depleted, you will fall to the ground and be vulnerable and take a bunch of damage from everybody attacking you while you're on the ground in your vulnerable state. Obviously, if you run out of stamina, you can no longer block and or attack, and you have to wait for it to recharge in order to do so, which can leave you in a vulnerable state. However, there are perks and abilities that you can get on tribesmen to counteract some of these issues. There are perks that you can get that when you block, you will regain resilience instead of losing it. There are perks that you can get that when you do a perfect parry block, you will regain stamina. Do note that also, if you do a perfect block or a perfect parry, you not only stun your target, leaving them prone on the ground to multiple attacks, you also do not use any stamina, nor do you take any damage when you do this. I would also like to point out that not everything can be blocked and not everything can be perfect parried. If anything you are fighting has its eyes light up red in the middle or at some point in an attack, you are not going to be able to fully block that attack, or if you do block it, because in some instances, if you have block up, it will reduce the damage, however, other effects will happen. For example, you could get knocked back, you could get stunned, you could get a bleed applied to you or a poison applied to you. Essentially, those are unblockable, and I make the air quotes when I say that, attacks. You cannot even parry them. Your only option when you see that happen is to dodge and get out of the way. Overall, this entire combo is a little crazy and feels very strong when you are playing with it, and I haven't even fully gotten into all of the different perks and ability combos that you can get with some of these tribes people, because there are some that if you can roll them together on a single person would be absolutely insane with this setup. We get crazy amount of damage reduction, we get range with being able to throw the spear, we get gap closers with being able to throw the spear and pull things to us, we get a shield ability that can be anything and everything from healing yourself while behind the shield to getting massive amounts of increased damage to all kinds of different shield bashes that apply effects to the enemies, like slowing them and knocking them down. So if you are struggling with combat at all, I highly advise giving the shield and spear a go. I don't think you'll be disappointed with how strong you'll feel. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Hopefully you all found this video helpful and informational. If you did, please consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other videos. And if you're looking for some more of my content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for helping to keep these videos sponsor free. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.